to the Good Enough Gaming Podcast, where a bunch of spooky 30-something nerds talk about all things gaming. We are your average spooky enthusiasts that try our best to dive into all the game shows and movies that we spooky nerds like to indulge in, celebrate our favorites, and we spook on a few duds along the way. I'm your host, Kyle, and I'm joined by Face Mask Jordan, Bugs Bunny Trevor, and the Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah!
Here's a taste of what your spooky ear holes will get spooked with today.
Well, when you're the cream of the crop, rise to the top.
Jesus Christ. Halloween is coming. What better way to get into the spirit than play a spooky game that will give Trevor and Kyle nightmares? You know, like a futuristic space traveling scenario gone horribly wrong, where you end up incarcerated on a Jovian Moon and fight for your survival once the prison is overtaken by a strange sickness? Feel familiar? Then you're probably familiar with the Callisto Protocol. We're going to get to the core of the story in this game and what makes your heart race during those tense moments. If you get scared, just look the outer way. Nice one.
Nice.
So join us and see if you can survive the experience, whether that's the game, our costumes, or us talking about it. It's for you to decide. Well, gentlemen, we're in fine form tonight.
Kyle, what's the name of the episode? I think you missed it.
I totally missed the name of the episode. Tonight's episode is entitled Callisto Protocol. Call my mom. I'm scared. Quality.
Love it.
So as you can see, we're all dressed up since this is our Halloween episode.
Let's go.
Daryl just came from work like that.
That's right.
It wasn't actually, yeah.
Well, when you're the cream of the crop, rise to the top.
Jesus Christ.
He's been drinking
Obviously,
Jordan's,
he gets a little too into character.
He's been drinking
I like
Jordan's
it.
special stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, so welcome, boys. We're talking about Callisto Protocol tonight, which is one that is made by the same creators of Dead Space, correct?
Yeah, they created Dead Space. Yeah.
And you know how I can tell that it's a Dead Space game?
Stompa.
The stomp. Stomp. Exactly.
Curb stomp.
The stomping to get ammo and loot out of every killed enemy. I kind of love it, to be honest. I'm a little sad. I'm a little sad that I couldn't stomp like other pre-dead bodies already.
Oh, I did that. Just got to check them, right?
Every single one.
Yeah, all the time.
So Trevor, Jordan, and I
in this game.
No, there's lots of like spiky walls and like weirdly mechanical meat grinders that kind of run things. It's a very weird feature.
Like, who built this prison? The guy from Saw?
Yeah.
It's Jigsaw's prison.
Yeah.
He would like to play a game.
I'm just going to do the whole night like this just so you can see my wonderful Sonic.
The full glory the back.
I think I'm going to put some Sonic feet. When I edit this, Kyle, I think I'm going to put some like the round like Sonic feet like right on.
Yeah. Underneath it. Yeah. Perfect. So Trevor Jordan and I.
Screen.
Oh my God. Trevor, Jordan, and I have played the game. Daryl is a slacker.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Daryl's been busy with work, and that's okay. But I'm very curious to hear your initial opinions, Trevor and Jordan, because this game, I had zero expectations coming into it. I was like, oh, hey, free. And I've really been enjoying it. It was like a Dead Space game that I wanted.
I think Trevor should go because you've beat it, haven't you?
Yes. So I beat it last night. Finally finished the game. It took me about 75% of the game to realize, like, to finally figure out the fucking main character, Josh Duhamel. So he's from Transformers. He's from like the Michael Bay Transformers. But just with the shaved head, I'm just like, fuck, where do I know this guy from? Like the whole game.
It took my wife exactly like one night of watching me play, going, "Hey,
who's this guy?
Isn't it?
I know that guy."
Yeah.
So the biggest thing, I think, like a couple weeks ago, we talked to Retro Edge and we were talking about Sea of Stars. And Sea of Stars is like the ode to the classic pixel JRPG game.
Yeah.
Callisto Protocol is the ode to like not horror games and movies, but like the classic like semi-horror action from our childhood. So like in this game, like if you've watched like it's questionably not very great, but like the Doom movie, if you've played Dead Space, Resident Evil, Alien, like any of that, like this game plays like a movie. And if you've seen any of those things, you're like, oh, I totally know what the fuck's going on here. Like this is, it just follows all the tropes. The game, honestly, they could like, fuck, the graphics are unreal.
It's so it feels squishy, right? Like you're walking through some of those, like crawling through air ducts, and there's like
so many air ducts,
biomass on the side.
So many fucking air ducts.
If you're a person that gets mad at the modern era loading screen, which is shimmying through a tight space, this, like John McClane has nothing on air ducts on this guy. Like he goes through so many goddamn air ducts. Like you will not believe how many air ducts that are full of blood. Surprisingly, like 90% less jump scares in the air ducts than I expected in this game.
I was expecting it like just like full yanked out of one. But
for the most part, I would say like if you've watched like the old Aliens or like any of the older horror, like you're gonna know exactly when every single fucking jump scare is gonna happen in this game. It is not. This isn't Outlast. This isn't any of those games. Like there's a couple that you're like, oh, that kind of surprised me. But like once you get past probably the first hour of the game, which is just fucking seizure salad flickering lights.
Yeah.
Of like, oh God, they're trying to make this really spooky. You're like, oh, okay, this is sort of like action thriller, like not scary, but you could condense this into a 2.5 hour movie and it would be a good movie.
Yeah, it would be just fine. It would be very predictable.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, like
many of those films are, but that's fine.
Yeah. You're not watching the Fast and the Furious for a deep story, right? This would be the same thing.
There's no Fast and Furious slander on this podcast. Macho Man's coming for you, brother.
Yeah, I think that was the first immediate thing that I kind of noticed. I actually played the Dead Space remake earlier this year, so like that game is still pretty fresh in my mind. And this one definitely leans way more into the action side of it. You know, to Trevor's point, it does feel like a mid 2000s like action horror movie. In the best ways and the worst ways, you know, like you guys said, there's nothing unpredictable in this game. Like it is very largely formulaic and it's pretty linear. Like there's no really secret areas to explore or things to like track back on.
No. There's pretty like obvious like secret side areas, but it's not really like hard puzzles by any means.
Yeah.
No.
Okay with that.
Yeah, and honestly, it makes for way less backtracking, which is great.
Mm-hmm. Unless for some reason it bugged out and there's a key card that's supposed to be there that's not, and you fucking run around everywhere trying to find it.
Yeah,
which is where I got stuck.
Thankfully, I didn't run into any bugs. Trevor, I don't know what your playthrough was like.
I had a load issue, so I had like lost like 4 hours of gameplay for about 10 minutes because of like the quick save versus the manual save. It got really confused. And then I somehow, I don't know what I did. I teed it by clicking a bunch of buttons. But yeah, there was a second where I was like, I'm not going to finish this game because fuck that. I'm not doing that again. And then I was like, oh, I got it back. And then I finished the game. So
like 4 or 5 hours of this game is like a third of the game. I wouldn't want to play through that much of it either at that point.
I'm really glad they figured that out and didn't snap into a Slim Jim.
Now, I'm curious to hear your opinion on the head snake pods that jump out at you and try and pull you into their pod in like the most inopportune times. And it's like, I can't even like shoot these things from far away because I can't fucking tell. And they put these eggs everywhere where you can't quite tell whether it's actually an enemy or just a pod by itself.
Oh,
So I end up like shooting all of them and wasting ammo.
there's one really good one late in the game. So like obviously spoilers going forward. This whole episode spoilers.
It's a 2-year-old game. People fucking figure it out.
Yeah.
Play it. There's a spot later in the game. So there's the mechanic where you get weapons and parts and you 3D print stuff. It's the future. That's how we get weapons in this game. There's an area where you see
today.
yeah, you see a small room and you're like, there's a couple lockers to get gear from, and there's a 3D printer, which is kind of like the safe zone. You walk into the room, behind the fucking door is one of these things. So you're like, sweet,
shit.
safety. And then you're like, oh, you son of a bitch. And you're just like,
mashing triangle, just trying to get out of it.
But there's I will tell you right away at the end of the game, the final boss, there's not those things, but there are some of the floor crawlers. And the dudes that are essentially missing legs.
Yeah.
And you just don't see them because you're focused on this huge boss. And you're just like, fuck off. Like, can you not do this right now?
Just stomp them.
You're too busy. Yeah. That I would say that's probably my biggest complaint is just some of the movement in this game. Like it's very realistic. It looks incredible, but some of the like item swapping and movement is sort of like we kind of complained about in Horizon. It's a little too realistic and slow. Where it's like, let me quick weapon swap. Let me do this quicker. Because I'm trying to get away from this fucking thing. So that's my biggest complaint. But yeah, those things are a pain in the ass. The first time that happened, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, like on the topic of those fucking face huggers, like that early on in the game, that's one of my bigger complaints from a gameplay perspective is because you don't have any chance to like dodge them or kill them before they grab onto you. There's a lot of times where you're already low on health and you don't have any other health packs on you. And then these things grab a hold of you and, sure, they don't take off a ton of health in your button mashing sequence, but they do still take off health. And so I've had a couple of times where like I'll kill it and then I turn the corner and I see the next big fucking monster dude and he just one-shots me because I have no health and I don't have any health packs. And so it just seems like a cheap way to
like whittle away your health a little bit.
Yeah. So like that kind of bothered me a little bit. I feel like I've had a few cheap deaths early on in the playthrough, which bugged me a little bit.
There will be more.
Yeah. my biggest gripe was around like camera glitching. So like fighting things, if you're fighting in like close quarters, the camera like whips you around. You're like, what the fuck is going on? I mean, like not having like a true dodge button was frustrating at times, especially when you get like surrounded. But the control stick dodging with
super
like
easy.
some super great too. Like you're even able
really
to like chain one to another, and it felt a little bit more fluid that way, and like still kept you in the combat rather than like dodge rolling away 20 times like it's Elden Ring. Hoping it
was almost like they added in fight night boxing, like bob and weave.
Yeah,
like that's kind of what it felt like, and like Kyle's 100% right. Like it feels really good when you chain a couple of those together, and then you bring out your giant ass like electric baton, and then just fucking smash the dude. Like it feels good when you chain that stuff together.
Yeah.
They did a really
Is it
good
first
job.
person or third person?
Third. So
right on.
For your reference, Daryl, so it's third person. When you get into like a proximity with someone, your left, and anyone listening, your left stick is essentially like a dodge button. So if you just hold it to the right and a guy swings at you, you'll dodge it.
Sick.
So it kind of lends itself to that. And then it's really about like picking up, like some guys will attack like once or 2 or 3 times, right? So you just have to dodge and then you start, beating the shit out of them. But with Kyle's point, the other nice thing too is they do a really good job in this, especially like late in the game. If you get surrounded by like 6 guys, you're only dealing really with one at a time. So if you have a guy who's like swinging, if you have a guy that's swinging at you, the guys behind you are just kind of like waiting to attack you.
Yeah.
So at least they kind of keep it fair, where it's not Elden Ring, or it's not any of these games where they're like
Just getting
They just-
mauled from all
just-
around. Yeah.
just getting a bunch of zombies jumping on you, and you're just like, oh well, I'm dead, right? Because they want to be able to throw multiple enemies. There's different ways to get around them, but
Gotcha.
when you have like, because the movement's kind of slower in this game, it's like, well, if you throw 4 guys at me and they could all attack me at the same time, you die every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that God of War perspective where it's like zoomed close in on your back over one shoulder. Like that's like the perspective of the camera. So it definitely does a really great thing with the audio design in the game, because when, like Trevor's saying, when you are surrounded, like you can hear those fuckers behind you making noises and stuff. So even though they're not attacking you, it does still bring it freaks you out a little bit, because you're like, fuck, I am surrounded. I am not in a good spot.
Yeah.
And like they do a really good job. Yeah.
And every time one appears, you get like the horror sound, like little screechy sounds to let you know that one has appeared in like your combat zone. It's like, you're like, oh, there's a guy, there's someone here. Like,
yeah, where is that
doing the John Travolta? You're like, where'd he go? Where is he?
Yeah.
I did also appreciate being able to chain like melee hits into like an extra like gunshot after, where it's like a quick snaps to them.
Yeah.
That I found very useful, especially in some of those like tight situations. However, the best thing in like multi-enemy fights is the gravity glove and a spiky wall.
Yeah.
Some gears turning, some sort of health and safety hazard that's running in the background.
It does not function here.
No, there's no OSHA in space.
No, especially space prison. Yeah, this is high level, just like, doing experiments on the prisoners. This is the worst prison out there. So
yeah,
that's the one thing that they do a better job of. There's a lot of comparisons with Callisto to Dead Space, and for good reason.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that I'll give Callisto kind of the one up on is their melee combat is by far and away more enjoyable, and it feels way more like just heavy and brutal. Whereas Dead Space, Dead Space, you really only use the melee because you run out of ammo in all your guns and you just need to run away. Whereas like in this is the opposite. Melee,
you have no ammo and you have to.
You have to. Yeah, like this is the primary attack, is to use your melee weapons. So it feels really good.
Yeah.
I'm very glad that this came out on PS Plus. It was a no-brainer to pick up and try, and I found it actually like kept my attention pretty well, which, as you guys know,
that's a rarity.
It's a hard thing to do.
But
your wife's going on a couple of years now. That's pretty good.
Oh,
nice one, T. I like that. That's good.
So,
I do got to say though, compared to Dead Space, if we're going to compare this, I feel like they don't reward you as much for aim, because Dead Space was all about like removing the limbs, like turning the gun, removing the limbs. This one's really
kill
great.
Shot.
Well, they kept a lot of the physics in this, like you can blow off people's arms and their heads, but you blow off someone's head, they just keep coming at you. Like you have to do a specific amount of damage versus like cutting off limbs or getting a headshot. So there's certain things there where I'm like, oh, I kind of wish like taking my time and having good aim was rewarded a little bit more. But
shotguns all day, spray and pray.
It's got a good spray in.
Got a good spray in.
So if you had to give it a ranking, a rating, a score, if you will.
Going at it already.
Yeah, that's a quick score there, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I
got so many things to talk about. So many spooky things.
So many spooky things today, man.
Yeah.
I think if you went in and like just pure gameplay, I'd probably give it like a 7. Like just the gameplay. It's fairly repetitive. There's nothing crazy. It's not, if you're into like pure horror, like if you want to shit your pants on the couch, it's not going to happen here. You're going to have a couple moments of like, ooh, like that was kind of unexpected.
It was a little spooky.
Yeah, that was a little unexpected.
Like when the door opens and the thing grabs you through the door.
Oh god, yeah. There's always got to be
I expected more.
Couple jump scares.
I expect way more of those. But in terms of like the story, like the quality of the game itself, like the looks, they actually use the fucking haptics. Like when you pick shit up, you get this little like boop boop and like a vibration in the controller.
Yeah. Or like the communicator through your controller.
They use the controller for sound. Just a lot of little stuff like that kind of adds up and helps. I'd give that like an 8.5, 9. Like that's pretty good. So like overall, I'd kind of give the game like a 7.5. But if you want a good, weekend or like a couple days story game, and you can get it for free right now, do it. Fantastic game.
15 hour.
Yeah. Max. Yeah. Like if you streamline it, I think I did it in like 10 to 12.
Damn.
Yeah.
I feel like I've played longer than I actually have, but who knows? Time is relative, right?
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I'm like 7.5, 8. Like we talked about, the combat and the looks of the game are just so good. But the story and whatnot. So I'd say 7.5 Josh Duhamels out of 10.
How many Michael Bay explosions is that?
Yeah. What's the conversion rate on that?
Oh God, that's a good question. We'll have to do a full breakdown. Yeah,
inflation's at 5%. What's it
at least 3 times the amount.
Yeah.
That's at least 21 explosions.
Needs to be at least 3 times bigger than this.
Jordan, how you feeling about it?
I'm sitting in the same spot. I think a 7.5 is a pretty fair score for this. Just the visuals, the audio design, the fucking lighting. Like it has some of the best atmospheric lighting in a next gen game. But yeah, the story is very basic and very straightforward. There's a couple weird like gameplay hitches in there that just don't. It kind of hurts the pacing a little bit and some of the smoothness of the combat. So yeah, like I don't know. The people that compared this to Dead Space as like a 1-to-1. I just don't think it's a very fair comparison. And it's a larger issue in just like game reviews as a whole nowadays. And like Daryl can back me on this one. With Gotham Knights, all of those reviews kept comparing that game to the Arkham Knight series.
Yep.
And
unfair comparison.
It's an unfair comparison. It's 2 completely different dev companies. They're not even doing the same style of game. And, even Lords of the Fallen a little bit has been getting some unfair comparisons to like Elden Ring and Dark Souls. And like, we just got to enjoy things for what they are. like this is an enjoyable game. If you like horror action games, play it. Like this is a very enjoyable game. It's not going to be a 10 out of 10 game of the year.
No.
But there still is a lot of enjoyable parts to this game.
Yeah.
And it's one of those games that's like, wait for it to come on sale, wait for it to be on PS Plus. It will be a lot more worth it than paying full price for it.
Yeah. If you're an elder millennial like us, and you're like, same thing. If you go down the list, you're like, I loved Alien. I love Predator. Resident Evil is my shit.
I love
Doom,
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Doom, Dead Space, stuff like that. Like this game is going to feel so familiar to you in so many ways. Like same thing. I think there was like also a Last of Us comparison at one point, because there's some guys that are like blind and you can sneak up on them, which took me about 90% of the game to realize I could sneak backstab somebody.
Up on them.
Yeah, no one told me that. If you kind of love any of those franchises, like you will enjoy this.
Yeah, absolutely.
It will be your Space Jam. So
that's correct.
Everybody get up. It's time to slam now.
Nice. That was very well played, Daryl.
He's got to add something.
I'm proud of you. Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm just in a dead space for my this review.
You're here for your good looks, Daryl. That's why you're here.
Oh yeah, got me for more than 3 minutes.
All right, so I think we'll let Daryl reload his puns here. we're going to take a quick break into our segment of the week, which is dad reviews, surprisingly, and we'll go from there.
Okay,
We'll see
hold on.
you in dad review. Dad review. All right, welcome
Fuck you,
back
Kyle.
God damn it. Welcome back to Dad Reviews, where I get interrupted.
Sounds like being a dad.
As you can tell, we're in phase 2 of our costume.
We flipped the script.
Yeah, Trevor's getting ready to go to a Taylor Swift show, or sell some burgers, whichever. Jordan's gotten creepier somehow.
You know it.
And
I'm going to the Flint, Michigan Mega Bowl.
Flint, Michigan, Mega Bowl.
Fourth place.
Mega Bowl.
Fourth place.
So our dad reviews today is one that I also picked up on PlayStation Plus in the
You cheap scallywag.
yeah, I know, right? Is a game called Weird West. It kind of fits like the spooky supernatural theme for the episode, so it works. There's a lot of it's a top-down action role-playing sort of game where there's some inventory management and that sort of thing too. You play as a retired bounty hunter who has to get back into the life to sort of save some family, and you get wrapped up in all sorts of super weird shit. You actually follow the story, after the first one, which is the retired bounty hunter. You follow 5 different unique characters, and they all sort of roll into one another. Sort of the quest line at that point. You play, like I said, the bounty hunter. You play a pig man whose human brain was put into the body of stitched pig parts, and a protector based on.
So super serial.
Exactly. You can actually recruit your previous characters to play, to join your party and play with you. And everything is designed to be responsive. So you can, the environment itself can be exploded. You can knock stuff down. There is, most of your actions and decisions are permanent. But there is also a permadeath mode. That's hardcore mode that you can play as well, where your companions can permanently die. There's a bit of twin stick sort of shooter action in it, but it's
sweet.
I was about to ask if this was Baldur's Gate, Divinity, turn-based shit.
Not quite. So it's live action, and it's twin stick shooting. So aim with one stick, move with the other, and fire. It makes for some interesting sort of shootouts and mask adjustments, but it's definitely one that if you put a bit of time into it, it's a lot of fun. If you like a sort of weird supernatural Wild West sort of game. It was made by Wolf Eye Studios, and it actually came out last year. Nice. But didn't release on the PS5 and the Series XS until this year. So it's sort of seeing a bit of a resurgence because of PS Plus. I would recommend you try it. Give it a shot. In the dark, maybe. Some spooky Wild West. So Weird West.
Weird West.
Weird West.
So weird, bro.
Yeah, and so we're bringing it back to horror games lately. Me being a giant pussy that I am, I don't play a lot of horror games.
That's why I was so impressed you actually stuck it through with this.
Yeah, I didn't find this one super scary. There was a little bit of gross, creepy, but not jump scare, haunt my dreams, not be able to sleep at night kind of scary.
I was so proud of both of you for playing the C.O.R.E. and for playing this, and I'm just like, man,
There's like a level.
like,
there's like
there's
a
more
line.
to come.
There's a line. Like
Yeah.
I'm okay with a lot of stuff, but it's like when you get to like the new age stuff where they're like, we're going to use every cinematic effect we know to like scare the shit out of you. Like that's too much.
I don't like jump
love
scares.
that stuff.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
I can deal with gore. I can't deal with like creepy, like psychological stuff that like fucks you up later. That just like gives me panic attacks.
You mean your
I
childhood?
still.
Just kidding.
I still think as a group we should all play Until Dawn in the same room.
There's a couple.
I've already
think-
played that.
So I know we're kind of segueing to this, but like PS Plus just released their extra announcement for October. So that's, I think, when this episode comes out is when things would have just been released. So you've got another Dark Pictures anthology on there. Unfortunately, they're only 2-player online, so we cannot play
Two-player.
those together. But you can go up to, I
Bullshit.
think you can play up to 5 people local somehow.
Yeah.
Party
So-
Mouse.
Yeah, so we can do that. We've got Alien Isolation, which is another essentially hide and seek
Yeah.
game of to avoid
That
the
one
alien.
is fucking freaky too.
There's been a bunch of like the 1v4 sort of horror stuff with like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I feel like we talked about that previously. Talked about Evil Dead. You know, adaptations of horror movies into subpar games.
Into, what is it? Dead by Daylight? Is that the game?
Yeah.
That's the big one. That's the one that's had the longest last with the community for sure. Yeah, Alien Isolation it's a single player story game. Like it's not a Dead by Daylight type of game. But it is very fucking scary. I played that quite a few years ago, and they do a very good job incorporating it. It follows aliens. I think the story takes place just after that. And it's quite scary.
Nice.
Cool. Thanks, Luigi.
You
Now,
woohoo!
now there's one that
Thanks,
I've
no
never
beard.
played. That yeah. There's one that I've like a series that I've heard of, but there's the sequel's coming out supposed to be coming out this year, and that's Alan Wake 2.
I think it comes out next week.
Is it next week?
I think so.
Damn.
From when we're recording.
I got some good timing. Yeah. So that one, that one's sort of another survival horror kind of game. I'm curious to see how it goes because, I'm not going to play it like something like an Outlast, but if it's got a similar sort of feel to Callisto Protocol,
I think you're more.
eventually.
I think you're more in like the Resident Evil Silent Hill territory with Alan Wake.
Yeah, I was going to say if you've ever played a Silent Hill game, then you'll be just fine with Alan Wake.
I can work with Silent Hill, and there's supposed to be a Silent Hill remaster coming out soon, isn't there?
Full on remake of the second one.
Ooh,
They're doing
Pyramid
the Final Fantasy VII remake approach with Silent Hill 2.
that's gonna make it so much spookier because like shitty pixels makes things so less believable. But like you think of like Callisto and like you're talking like 4K graphics, like really photorealistic. Like you put that into some of these newer franchises. Like,
oh god!
Fuck, that would be awful.
All the new technology and everything, and like the new basis. Like if they do Alan Wake again, is it going to be Alan Woke?
The first scary thing is choosing your
I was
pronouns.
gonna say Alan, he, him, woke. Honestly, like people got upset about that for Starfield. It's a 2-second click that no one gives a shit about. Let's be honest. How many people here have chosen a female or other gendered character in any RPG ever? And so it's just
World of Warcraft,
just let it go.
It doesn't matter. It's not a big
doesn't
deal.
matter.
No, not at all.
No, but it's just
Just give people the choice and leave it be.
yeah, and just
Happy.
click
Happy
past
camper.
it. If it pisses you off, just do it quickly. It won't hurt.
Now there are a couple like sequels coming out of like super like scary horror games. Like if you've ever heard of Amnesia,
Yeah.
there is a sequel coming out called Amnesia.
What?
Huh?
Amnesia, not deafness. Fucker.
I forgot what you were talking about.
Yeah, Amnesia, the bunker. Which I mean, if any spooky thing happens in a bunker, it's probably not good. And then there's actually another Outlast game. It's called the Outlast Trials.
Fuck
There's
that.
another one?
It's the third installment.
Yeah, so Outlast 2 is
Wow.
part of this PS Plus this month. So Outlast so
yeah.
if you're
Alright, great
really
segue.
into
Great time
like
to catch up on what's coming.
yeah, if you're really into like green night vision camera shit and same thing pooping your pants, Outlast 2 is coming out this month. No.
Outlast is
Pissing your
the
pants is cool. Consider me Miles Davis.
Oh my god. One
Outlast is the only game I've ever played maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's like
And
no.
I was like, nope, I'm good.
no, I'm good. Yeah, I got to
Really?
the first like.
And Daryl and I are typically the horror guys in the group. Like we can usually play really fucking scary games, but
I'll
Outlast,
play anything.
not a chance. I could not fucking do that game. No way.
I got to the first like where the monster thing shows up in the first one. I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm done.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Oh, you babies.
Yeah. Jordan, you can probably lift your mask now
No.
if you really. No, we're committing to the bit.
Hey, Kyle.
I don't know.
We
It's
have
so
one rule
much
here,
worse.
okay? We have one rule here. Everybody love everybody. ELE.
ELE.
So there's one, Jordan, you actually brought up previously, which I think would be good to talk about again, which is Bramble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to refresh everyone's memories, what is Bramble the Mountain King exactly?
Before Kyle brambles on.
If you've played Inside, Little Nightmares 1 or 2, it's very similar to those styles of games. It's kind of like a mixture of side-scrolling, top-down perspective. It takes Norwegian folklore, like fairy tale shit, but not the Disney version of those stories.
Real
The
ones.
fucked up
real-
creepy versions of them. Yeah.
The crazy fucked up stuff. And turns it into a game. That game is phenomenal. You can beat it in like 5 hours. But there's some fucking terrifying stuff in that game. It's not like an Outlast by any means. It's like moody. You know, it's just very good atmosphere. The story sucks you in really well.
Dark, ominous tones.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, definitely one worth checking out, and it's pretty cheap. It's on Game Pass too, so if you have a Game Pass, it doesn't cost you anything. But that would be a good one. You could finish it in a day or a weekend.
Sweet.
Yeah. I would
Now,
honestly.
I know, like,
I was going to say, I'm going to jump on this. Honestly,
Yeah.
any of the Dark Pictures stuff, like the Dark Pictures anthology stuff, if you're like,
I love those games.
you know, we've watched
Yeah.
all the Halloween movies. We're looking for something like story based that is spooky. Any of those games, fantastic.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we,
I had a good time playing those together.
yeah, like
Yeah.
the Quarry was
Yeah, it was a ton of
fantastic.
fun.
The choices and selections you get to make. It's not like, you know, if one of you is terrible at video games, like it's not hard. It's
Nope.
Hey,
you're
I'm right
you're
here.
playing a movie. You're essentially what you're doing. You're doing a Goosebumps, R.L. Stein, Choose Your Own Adventure book as a video game movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those are such and they're so fun and very
Yeah.
easily replayable. Like,
Yes. Yeah, I want to kill
Totally.
everyone. I want to save everyone. I'm having
Yeah,
I'm
it's
having too
like,
much fun with my
what
hair.
happens
What
if
is this?
everybody dies?
I was gonna say it's
What
here.
is this like?
Yeah, and like what I like about those games is when you play with people in person, it's like a Jackbox party pack type. Like you log in with a phone or whatever, and so you can play with people that aren't like hardcore gamers. They don't
Yeah.
have to use a controller. They can still make decisions and be included in it. So it's a great like party game for that.
Tell you where
It's
to
all
put your
everyone wants is
flashlight.
to be included.
Yeah.
Yeah, controlling the flashlight.
Oh God.
Now,
Terrible.
if we had to, if we were trying to pick one or two horror franchises that could use a video game or could use
Oh yeah.
an adaptation in a video game, what would you pick? Now, my initial, like, I know they made a game for it, but I don't think they made it the right way. I would love Evil Dead as a third person
Like Callisto.
single player story.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not
Yes,
a
Evil Dead
survival
that
game.
way
Yeah.
would be amazing. It would be so fun.
Give me Insidious.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know how they would do those franchises, but like Insidious or The Conjuring,
Yeah.
like as a game, or like even like these stories, like having that franchise be brought into like the dark anthology style of game, be brought in with some choices. Like I am
Fucking
all in
out.
on
I'm
that. Like I
Take
am.
all my money. All
Yeah.
my money.
Give me the Annabelle special of one of those, and like I'm in. Like that
Yeah.
sounds awesome.
Use the motion. You got to use the motion controls on the Wii controllers to like to crucify, like to do the.
Or like
Yeah,
exorcism,
pull out the demons.
Jesus Christ.
tossing the holy water.
Yeah,
Using all the haptics.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like my controller just puked on me.
Honestly, the Dark Pictures anthology, in my opinion, that is how horror games should be made. Like, it's the perfect blend of giving you a good story with a lot of good scares. And like gameplay wise, it's pretty fucking easy to do because
Yeah.
90% of it is like cinematics and then just making a choice.
yeah.
So like you don't
This
have
can
to
be
get
out
that
there.
creative.
But like one of the things that kind of blew my mind, obviously, you know, I love Mortal Kombat games, but like Jordan, you might agree with me on this, is like NetherRealm Studios should probably look at something like this in the future too. With what they did with the crypt in Mortal Kombat 10 and 11, like moving around, solving puzzles, and then having things like jump and try to attack you kind of thing. It was like, it's not a terrible premise. And like, if you
No.
did it in the right universe, like they should almost do something like with the Alien franchise where they build a game like that, where you're trying to like get the ship moving and so you can fly and get back home or whatever. But like you have the face suckers and things like coming and trying to attack you and stuff. Because I was like the crypt in 11 has moments, or maybe it's 10, where you're like in this like one area of the woods, and all of a sudden a spider will just jump out of nowhere, and if you don't attack it in time, it like it like latches onto this video screen and like kills your character. And it's like there's been a couple times of like just searching around, like looking, oh, I need to go to that tombstone and go unlock this, and then I like turn, bam, this spider jumps, and it's like, ah.
Yeah, like if you could find a way to do like an isometric top-down view, and like you could turn it into like a cat and mouse game, you know, where you have
Yeah.
like what Daryl's saying, you can have to like fix components of your ship, but while you're doing that, you're completely exposed to, you know, like an alien fucking lurking around the map trying to find you and shit. Like, yeah, there's
It's like
definitely some cool things that you could do.
What
that
is it,
way.
like Sons of the Forest type thing, where you've got these like cannibals
Yeah.
creeping around, and you got to keep them away and stuff like that. I think because we played the Quarry, and it was really fun. Obviously, it's 4 people, but really only like one person was kind of the important person.
Control, yeah.
Yeah.
It would be, I don't know how they would do it, but if you could create a multiplayer game like that, where same thing, cinematic decisions, but if there's 4 people in the room, they each are controlled by a different online person. And so each person can like
Bingo.
potentially affect the decision. But like whether like that character dies off and now you're either another character or you're piggybacking off of somebody else, like you're in charge of like person A. And if you kill your person A, like you're done. I think that would be hilarious. Is like to give it more multiplayer ability without like taking away from it. I think that would be really funny.
Or even if there's like a selection of like characters that are available in the chapter, and it was like you had to just like decide who was going to be who before you entered the chapter or something. Like because lots of those ones have lots of characters in the game.
Oh yeah,
You gotta give people to kill. Every good horror movie needs at least 5 people to kill. Yeah.
Or hear me out, it's a single player character, but the 4 people get to control a limb.
Oh god!
Oh
my god! That could be
just one.
We're all gonna be walking around like gang beasts. Like,
Kyle, move the fucking leg.
That would be. Have you guys? Now this is not a horror game, but it's hilarious. Have you guys seen the game? I think it's called Just Toast.
No. What's that?
So you're a piece of bread who has to be toast, and you control. It's kind of like a co-op game, where so instead of you're controlling the 4 corners of the toast, and you have to like climb things, and you essentially have to try not to touch the floor and ruin your freshness and get to the plate. But you have to like hold on and then like spin the toast. That just makes me think that it's pretty much like a co-op. Yeah, it's a terrible like coordination game, but it looks hilarious.
That does sound really funny, actually.
That sounds great. The one that's not necessarily a horror game, but would probably turn into it if we tried to play it. Surgeon Simulator.
Oh god.
It's on the PS Plus Extra as well now. I haven't tried it yet.
Video game of operation? Like what is it?
Yes. But you can just like cut out organs and stuff, and
you have to use the shitty PlayStation Move controllers to like operate anything.
If this is how our surgeons are training now, I'm out. I'm not going to the.
I mean, there's some pretty cool like VR stuff for surgeons, but that doesn't seem as accurate.
Yeah. If I see a doctor at the hospital, if I see a doctor at the hospital with a PlayStation Move controller in like a fucking holster on his hip, I'm fucking out of
the
there.
Training room. Scott, it's like
that guy can play that to that level on that, then I do trust him. Actually, that's.
Excuse me, sir. What is your score on Surgeon Simulator before we start the surgery here?
Are you nationally ranked? Show me your score.
Oh, are you on the leaderboards? No. The surgery's canceled.
I'll be going to a different hospital.
I only buy farming equipment from people that are high ranked in farming simulators, so I am only going to get surgery from people that are high ranked in surgeons.
Obviously, I only have my lawn cut by people that are.
Yeah. People
that's how I learned how to power wash.
So, do we have any other? How about like horror games from your youth? Is there anything that you'd like brought back? I mean, like they're bringing Silent Hill 2 back, which already
great.
like
that's childhood.
Was great, perfect.
So,
Resident Evil 4.
Fantastic.
Again,
arguably the best in the series.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got one.
Luigi's got something.
So Super Nintendo, there was the Jurassic Park game. It wasn't really scary. Wasn't really scary, but give me like a horror themed Jurassic Park game where I'm stuck in the park with the dinosaurs.
So Dino Crisis.
I think you're talking about Turok.
I was gonna say Turok.
Yeah, can we get a horror?
Can we bring back Turok too?
Turok has too many guns. I want to be at a huge disadvantage.
Turok is Doom with dinosaurs.
Correct.
Doomosaurs.
I know that there is a game coming out on Steam that's from like an indie developer that's kind of a horror themed game with dinosaurs. I don't have the name off the top of my head, but there is one being made. But like if there was one wrapped with the Jurassic Park coding, like I think that would be really good.
I know this is off topic, but like, has anyone seen the videos of that dinosaur fighting game where like the dinosaurs have weapons in their mouths?
The swords.
Swords.
Hilarious. Yeah.
Whoever made that is a genius.
Obviously, we need to play it.
Yeah, whoever made that is a genius.
It's on the list for sure.
Yeah.
Oh man.
One of the dinosaurs has a Buster sword in his mouth.
Yeah, I know, it's awesome.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Great.
Honestly, aside from like bringing
Buster
Resident Evil back, to like what it was. Like Resident Evil 4 obviously was awesome. Silent Hill, like I can't think of anything that like needs a remake. Like I'm trying to think of like old horror games from that.
Well, a lot of them were really bad.
Yeah, I
Like-
mean that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause, like there was a whole bunch of Saw games back in like the PS3 generation. but I
Yeah,
don't
when like
think
we
any of
did
them
that
were
one
good.
episode where we talked about it, and then I was like, oh, I need to look at these and see what they look terrible. Like,
Yeah.
because I would
Well, that
also
sums
love
it up.
that as
Yeah.
like a that's another dark anthology thing. I think that would go great. It's like
Yeah. Oh, that would Saw would lend itself way better to that sort of
Yeah.
genre.
Yeah, no
like
question.
making choices to get out of like the predicament that you're in. I think that would blend itself very well.
I do have a
Yeah.
couple.
Oh, Trevor.
So one that
Trevor's got a
was
couple more.
less horror but still kind of fun, surprisingly fun, was the Ghostbusters game. Not scary at all, but where you're just shooting lasers
I
and
ain't
stuff.
afraid of no ghost.
What about the Fear franchise?
Oh, yeah.
That kind of had like
I
the
forgot
ring
about
girl.
that
one.
Kind of had
That's
like the
a
ring girl on the
throwback.
cover. But like I remember
Yeah,
that game was like pretty hyped at
yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
And I think it was
There's
supposed
also
to be
like
pretty
the
good.
Stalker, like Chernobyl.
Oh yeah,
I've seen a little bit about it. I haven't played it.
isn't
Because,
that
again,
is that out yet?
I think it's supposed to be coming out this year.
Yes, I think we've all
Yeah,
looked
I
at
think
that. That's like the first person kind of shooter, but it's like you're going through
Yeah.
Chernobyl and there's like radioactive stuff.
I think
All
I
right,
got
throwback here.
Classic.
Oh, ready.
Bring back salad fingers.
Oh god.
Jesus.
Fucking nightmare
crusty
fuel.
spoons. Anybody
All right,
that's
well.
not anybody that's under 30 is not going to get that reference.
Google salad fingers.
Google
Yeah,
salad fingers.
yeah.
It's like original YouTube stuff.
Yeah, that's a fucking throwback right there.
Just early YouTube shit.
That's like Newgrounds and E-bombs. Like that's what that is.
Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, we were just talking about that with Simon. So
Yeah, that's a throwback.
Yeah.
What if what some of the other things that like tried to come back but didn't quite like, and now like obviously there's been a movie for Goosebumps, but then
There's a new
Like-
series of Goosebumps.
yeah,
It just released on
Um,
Netflix like this week, I think. I just saw it. It's got is it Jason Long, the guy from
Accepted.
Accepted. Thank you.
Oh, yeah,
Justin Long.
Justin Long.
Justin Long.
Yeah.
I
like,
think they need to bring back. Are you afraid of the dark?
Hey.
The pinball mall episode still haunts my dreams.
The clown underneath the bed with the extending arms one has like lived in my brain forever.
Invisible
Yeah.
invisible monster in the pool.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
one. Everyone's got
Yeah.
one.
oh man,
Everyone's got
yeah, everyone's got one. Every
Yeah.
Canadian youth at some
That's
point.
Are You
watched that
Afraid
show.
of the Dark?
Has it,
Like
yeah.
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, there was a
I just
lot
remember
of
them like meeting up
ones.
and throwing the sand on the fire to make it go.
Yeah. So dope. And Freaky Fridays. It happened
Oh
to
my
a friend
God.
of a friend of a friend of mine.
Tales from the Crypt Keeper.
Yep.
Yeah. Classic. So good.
I am running out. We have a lot of horror nostalgia. Like Trevor and I watched horror, like campy horror movies.
But they're like
Yeah.
shitty. Like not really scary. That's
Shitty,
where
like
obviously
shitty
like I
horror
have no limit. But
What is the
Yeah.
like what would be considered the new like is there any horror show out now for like teens or younger? Like is there anything out?
what was it? There's a
I
couple on
think-
Netflix.
Well, there's that whole anthology series that got moved over to Disney Plus now. Oh shit!
American Horror Story?
Yes.
That one. I would say that's probably like the most modernized horror
Like
thing.
Black Mirror, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like anything for like kids, like we had Goosebumps, we had Freaky Friday, we had Are
Yeah,
You Afraid of the
not
Dark?
really.
Like
No, nothing really for
What goes
kids.
bump in the
that's why all these
specifically, I
kids are
don't think.
soft.
Yes.
They don't get
That's
scared
why.
anymore.
It's just no fear.
Yeah.
Nothing to fear.
It's that bear spray.
Crippling debt.
Nuclear,
Never be able to
nuclear
afford
winters.
Guys,
This
it's got real
real
dark.
problems.
this is turning too close into a TED Talk. Let's move on.
Oh my god,
I don't know. I'm waiting for the Doom UAC shit. I'm waiting for Elon Musk to open a portal to hell to get some sort of new age energy. Like shit's going down.
Fair. Yeah, we're all fucked if that
Our
happens.
Doom guy's gonna be like The Rock. Like instead of being the bad guy, like Doom guy is The Rock or like Joe Rogan. I mean, that's all we've got.
he just yells at them till they get bored.
Yeah. Exactly.
Joe Rogan's going to be that throwaway in every horror movie that dies fucking immediately. That's going to be Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up before we descend into talking more about Elon Musk and Joe Rogan.
It's a good place to stop.
Yeah, I think it's a great place to stop. So once again,
Still
thank you for
campy.
thank you for tuning into this week's spooky episode of the Good Enough Gaming Podcast. Oh my god!
Jordan's flashing us.
I got a star.
I'd just like to say I'm supposed to be Pippi Longstocking, although I look like the beefed up Wendy's.
Shut up, Wendy.
Wendy's chick. Wendy's nuts. Got him.
Got it.
Well, you heard it here.
Mario's a pimp, Luigi's a simp.
D's nuts.
Other way around.
These nuts.
Good enough.
Oh god, Wendy.
This is no trick, but it was a treat.
Oh.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for more content. We also invite you to write an email or join us on Discord to talk about anything from our episodes or something else you would like to discuss in the future. Please subscribe to the Good Enough Gaming Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever else you listen to your podcasts. And remember, we might not be great, but we are good enough.